Hello, you beautiful souls. It's that season of the year again. Especially October holds a special place in my heart. You probably have heard of those drawing challenges like Inktober or Drawtober, or one of the many other challenges that have been created in the past years. In case you haven't heard of those, the basic idea behind those challenges is to get your creativity going by drawing every single day of the month. As a guideline, there's different prompts on which your daily drawings or artworks can be based on. You of course don't have to stick to those prompts and instead can make up your own. I believe Inktober was the original challenge, and as the name suggests, it encouraged artists to use ink for their daily drawings. And because I really do enjoy working with ink as well, let's talk a little bit about different inking tools. So there's a couple of tools that you could be using, and one of them is just the regular fine liners. I use various brands and I really do like that they come in different sizes. This is especially handy if you want to vary your line weight. Let me demonstrate that really quick. They create a pretty smooth line, and I really like that they come in different line weights or sizes. And that means if you just go a size smaller, you can just have much thinner lines, or take an even smaller one and have super thin lines. I really do like that for especially the detailed stuff. In general, they are defined by having a relatively hard tip or nib. They can look a little bit different. This is how the other one looks. It's pretty much the same, though with this one, if you push it a little bit harder, you might be able to get a little bit of a different sized line, but it really is not that much of a difference. But that's not necessary. It really depends on what kind of brand you're using. I don't really have a favorite. As long as they're waterproof, they are good for me. I also have this kind of liner. Sadly, this one is not waterproof, so it's not suitable for everything. The tip is a little bit softer, yet still rather on the hard side, so I can get a little bit of variation in my line weight, but it really is not that much. And in contrast to those, there's the ones that have some sort of a felt tip or brush tip, and with those you can see they're a bit softer and you will be able to actually vary quite a bit. Like, you can draw relatively delicate lines, but if you push down hard, you can get pretty thick lines with them as well. This is really handy if you want to have a lot of variation in your lines. One of my all-time favorites, you have probably seen that in the other videos, is the pocket brush by Pentel. It is pretty soft, so you do have to practice a little bit and you have to get to know that pen a little bit, but the results are incredible. I really love how dynamic the lines look, and you can really get a very, very broad range of different line weights with this one, especially in one singular brush stroke. So that's one that I love to use. It's also waterproof, and the good thing about this one is also that you can actually refill it with those cartridges, and it's pretty easy. Like, it works just like any other ink pen or fountain pen. You just put in another cartridge and you're good to go. I especially love it because when I'm traveling, I do not have to bring a pot of ink, and you also don't have to bring a number of different liners because, as I said before, you can get quite the variety of lines with it. So another very, very classical and traditional way to get your line art done is just using a simple brush and dip it in ink. You can also get quite a bit of variety in it, but personally I feel this is even harder to control than the pocket brush, and it can look great, but it really depends on what kind of artwork I'm working on. I'm not going to demonstrate this in drawing, but I quickly want to show you too. You could also be doing line art with some sort of a calligraphy, feather, pen, whatever you want to call it. Those have like those pre-made tips. You could be doing something with that as well, but I think this is a bit more for lettering. Another tool for inking, which I have recently been gifted and I really, really do love it, is a glass dipping pen. I think they're pretty popular because they have gone viral on the internet, but to be honest, I have not seen them before I got one myself, but I also miss a lot of trends, so maybe don't take my word for it. But yeah, I tried it. It's a bit complicated to figure out in the beginning, especially because it is super thin. The lines are really fine, they're super delicate, and if you're not careful, you're also scratching the paper. But once you do get the hang of it, I think it works amazing. I really like it, and I'm really looking forward to drawing more with it. But enough of the talking, so let's dive right in. The first artwork that I'm working on, I'm gonna ink with my fine liners. And I am gonna vary with the pens. Like, I'm not sure if you will see it all the time, but I'm switching them up quite a bit to get the variety in my lines. It works pretty well. I really do like it. It's convenient, especially if I have enough space to lay all my art supplies down. It works amazing because I can just, choose and pick from them and choose whatever size I need. So this is what they look like. I think I used 4 different pen sizes for this artwork. I do like to vary them up, so I try to use at least 3 different sizes, just to get enough contrast in my line weight. On another note, really do make sure that the ink has dried before you move your hand over it, because otherwise you're looking at something like this. So next artwork, we're gonna use the pocket brush. You can see it's a little bit broader in comparison to the lines of the previous artwork, but I'm still able to get quite a bit of variation in there. And for the really, really fine things, I could do them with the pocket brush, but I have another brush pen and it's just a bit easier to control because the tip of that brush pen is a little bit harder. It's still soft, but it's a bit harder than the one of my black pocket brush. For the really fine details, why make life harder than it already is? I said it before, but in general, I really, really do love brush pens. I like the variation that they allow for, and I just really like the feeling of them as well. Again, if you're starting out with a brush pen, some of them are really soft and it might take some time to get used to, but you're gonna get the hang of it pretty quick, I'm sure. Another thing I really do love about the brush pens is if you go a bit quicker, you're creating this sort of dry brush effect where the edges are a little bit frayed. And I really love that this pen can create this kind of texture as well. So for the next one, we're gonna get out a little pot of ink. I always have to be super careful because my fingers, they get dirty so quick and I cannot get it off for the next couple of days. But let's try to not have our fingers stained. I'm using the glass dipping pen, and you will quickly see what I mean when I said that some of the lines are really, really thin and really, really delicate. I have to go over some of them a couple of times to get them to the thickness that I want to. But what I really do like is, because I'm using actual liquid ink and not just ink coming from a pen. Some of the ink is going to be excess and it's going to flow towards where some of the lines meet. And I really do enjoy this effect. I think it looks really pretty, and I just really do enjoy the visual of that. Because the glass dipping pen creates such thin lines, it's really, really easy to get a huge contrast in my drawings. So next up, we're still gonna use that little pot of ink, but we're going in with a regular brush. I feel it's much harder to control, but it's also okay because when I'm working with a regular brush for inking my lines, I kind of want this kind of by chance effect. And I really like when the ink just does its thing and, it does add to the image. Another really big advantage of working with a brush is you can just lay down really large patches or large areas of ink really quickly. If you did that with a brush pen, it would quickly grow tired, like the ink stops flowing as fast as it does in the beginning. And with a little fine liner, you're also busy for quite some time. So sometimes it actually makes sense to, just vary the mediums and tools that you're using even in one specific artwork if there's different areas that you need to ink. So just use whatever works best for you. Now that I showed you some of the inking tools that I'm using, what are your favorite ones? Let me know in the comments below. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to my channel. I already have quite a bit of tutorials and videos up there. So if you are looking for tips and tricks on a specific topic, it might actually already be there. I hope you have a great day, and if you're participating in any of the challenges, I wish you a lot of fun. Happy drawing, and I'll see you again next week. Bye!